Hey guys, so I'm on my way to work, and last night when I was watching TV with my son, one of the little shows that was on, I don't know if it was Teen Nick or some kind of Nick, the Thundermans, I don't know. It was an old episode, maybe we recorded, but it was about like a dance of some sort, and that made me think of my prom in high school, which was, I don't know, so many years ago. And I thought about the shenanigans that happened on my prom, and I was like, you know what? I should make this a story time. So this is my first story time. So, okay. Many years ago, once upon a time, many years ago. So I was senior year, and I remember in the beginning of the school year, everyone was talking about the prom. Like, it was like the second day of school, and we're already thinking about, ooh, the prom. And especially for the girls, because it's like you want to make sure that you're not only actually going to the prom, but you want to be going with a good date. And so it was a few months right before the prom, and I wasn't dating anybody. So that was out as far as an idea. And I'm like, oh man, and it's like, what am I gonna do? What if the prom comes and I don't have a date? It's like the dramatic teenage thought process, like, oh, what am I gonna do? And I had a few guys in high school that had asked me to go to the prom, but me and my superficial 17-year-old self, I was like, no, which really in hindsight was really a silly idea or silly, thing to do, to turn certain guys down just because I thought, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go to the prom with this person. Obviously I was a kid, like if I knew then what I knew now, it would have been different. So anyways, so I turned like two guys down, and I'm like, no, I'm just waiting. I'm like trying to figure out what am I gonna do. So back to my story. So a couple of months before, I had reconnected with an old guy friend, and it was a guy friend who we all used to go to school with in elementary school. And in elementary school, it's like puppy love. So I kind of like had a crush on him in elementary school, and but then he ended up leaving for whatever reason, I'm not sure, and I have no idea why, and I don't want to say anything that's incorrect because we're friends on Facebook. So I don't want to say anything that might be incorrect, but for whatever reason he left elementary school and I hadn't seen him, but we somehow reconnected, and I don't remember because it's so many years ago why or how we reconnected. But now, so we're older now, he was in school, and I don't remember what school he went, so I believe that he actually was one grade ahead. I think he might have gotten skipped for whatever reason. So we started talking, so we weren't dating, we were talking, back in the day, like, oh, I'm talking. I don't know, like, we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend, basically. We were just talking. I don't know how they say that nowadays. I know they say that cuffed. We weren't cuffed. This is the teenage conversation that people have now. Cuffed. What? Anyways, so we were just friends, getting to know each other again. And so, but we were doing the usual dramatic, like, oh, we're on the phone every night and listening to my CD player on the side in the background and stuff like that. Oh, gosh. So we were doing that for like 6 or 8 weeks or whatever. So we're really talking. I'm like, oh, I really like him. So I'm thinking, well, the prom's coming up, but I was like, I'm not going to say anything. We'll see what happens. And lo and behold, he asks me to my own prom. Girl, I'm sorry, but I was feeling myself then. I was like, he doesn't even go to our school, and he asked me to go to my prom. I felt like a superstar. So I was like, yes. So of course I had to go run and tell my two best friends, Charmaine and Veronica, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, he asked me to the prom. They're like, yay, oh my gosh, because they're all like making sure. Charmaine at the time was like in a long-term relationship with somebody, so she already knew who her date was going to be. Veronica, I don't remember. Veronica she liked somebody, and so she was working on that. So everything was kind of panning out. So I'm like, great. So I'm going to the prom with the guy that I like. Got my dress together. My hair was going to be good. Like, everything was planned perfectly. So, mind you, we're still not boyfriend and girlfriend though. But I'm like, okay, well, in my 17-year-old head, my emotional, like, I'm thinking after the prom, he's just gonna love me, and then we're just gonna end up getting married and have 2 kids and, 3 dogs and a cat and a gerbil. Okay, so it's the night of the prom. We're all excited. My best friend Charmaine, she was always the planner, so she planned everything down to a T as far as who's gonna pick up who first, like who the limo was gonna pick up first, whose house we were gonna go to, blah blah blah. So they get to my house. My date is already there. He's looking dashing. I'm looking fabulous. We're all like feeling like we're superstars, and my mom's out there taking pictures. My older brother was there taking pictures. My neighbors came out to take pictures. I was like, what is this? Ooh, I am celebrity today. So I was having a blast. It was so fun. We're all taking pictures lined up against the limo. Mind you, I mean, we're 17-year-old kids, and in hindsight our outfits are like meh, but back then we were all like, we're fly. So what was that? Yeah. So we took pictures, we get into the limo, we all have our, change of outfits, because we were gonna have like the after party afterwards and really gonna get all into it. So we get inside, and me and my date are canoodling, like, she's telling me, oh, you look so cute, like, thanks, you look so great. And then we start picking up other people. So we go to the next house, and of course everybody's got to climb out again and take a long thing of pictures, because we got to do that in front of the next person's house, and then the next person's house, and then we go to the final one. And now we're running late at this point, because we even though we tried to plan it perfectly, and Charmaine really did do a great job, shout out to Charmaine, hi, everybody is still moving slowly, and all these parents want to take 17 million different pictures. So we get to like the last stop, and one of the people that was in our limo was a guy. So the guy was our friend. He was bringing a date that we never met before. So we're like, okay, because it is what it is. So he brings the date in, and all of a sudden I see my date looking at her like, oh hey, and canoodling and chucking and jiving, and I was like, wait, what? Wait, you guys know each other? Like, wait, what? So I'm like, let me just be calm, because maybe they're, cousins. I don't know. I was just like trying to think positive. So I'm hearing through the grapevine, whatever, because at that point he didn't even say who I was next to him. I was like, all of a sudden, like, he forgot he didn't even know what his name was. Like, that's how bad it was. I was like, okay. Come to find out that supposedly it was like an ex-girlfriend of his, or of some sort. It appeared to be, because they immediately were like basically going into old times and this and the other. Oh, I can't believe it. So okay, so look at the picture. It's me sitting here, he's sitting here, and she's sitting there. So he starts talking to her. He puts his back to me. This is the prom, mind you, and this is the guy I've been talking to for like 2 months. He turns his back to me and begins to have conversation with this girl about all they missed, and oh, she looks so great and he looks so great, some of that. I'm sitting here like a latchkey kid. He never acknowledges me, never says, this is my girl, this is my this is my, chaperone, this is my nothing. Okay, so I'm like, this is not going well. Not only that, we were coming from Long Island, so we were having to drive all the way to Manhattan, which is like a 45-minute drive, and if traffic, more. So I'm like, no way, Jose. So now we're sitting here, I'm like, this is gonna be a travesty. I'm gonna have to sit here, and this guy is disrespecting. Like, what are you doing for 45 minutes? So after a while, like 15-20 minutes, I'm getting angry at this point. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So every time he turns around to me to look at me, I'm giving him like subliminal messages, like, excuse me, hello, like I'm mouthing certain things to him, and he's like, what is it, what, like he's all of a sudden being like having an attitude, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, so my prom is gonna be ruined now? This is what we're gonna do? So he completely just like snubs me, and we're still in the limo. So I'm like, okay, fine. So then at this point, I'm getting angry, and I'm like, you know, snapping my teeth. I'm looking at my girls, like Charmaine and Veronica. I'm like, what? Charmaine was looking at me like shaking her head like, Veronica, well, she was kind of enamored with her date, so she kind of and that's a running joke that she, like, on a side note, Veronica didn't even know what happened on the prom because she was so enamored by the person she was with that she just completely, like, she was like, what? Who are my friends? Sorry, I had to just throw that shade. But, you know, we're all best friends still, so all worked out. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm looking at Charmaine, I'm looking at Veronica, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Mind you, I'm even looking at our guy friend who he's sitting there like a statue, because I'm like, how does he feel that his girl is like all in the conversation with somebody else? And he's sitting here dressed to the gills, you know, probably all hyped that he got this girl to come and whatnot. And he's feeling like the third wheel. So it was like, oh my gosh, it was just an uncomfortable situation. So then, like, finally, like, I really whispered something. I whispered something to my date, which had with an attitude. And then he goes and says to the girl, well, I wanted to have fun on this, at this prom, but I'm here with this one. And pointed to me like, you know, like I'm like some annoyance all of a sudden, like I'm a fly. And I was like, oh, heck no. H-E-double hockey sticks, no. I said, at that point, I said, okay, good. We're gonna play like that? Good. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to ruin my prom for somebody like this. So I then turned my back and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go about my business. So I just went and, you know, spoke to whoever was next to me. Of course, in my head, I'm 17-year-old emotional girl. I'm like crying in my head saying, this is horrible. How am I gonna live? How am I gonna survive? This is so embarrassing. I'm gonna be the laughing stock. So I was really, you know, that's what I was thinking. But I still put the stone face like, okay, that's how we're gonna do it. That's fine. I'm still gonna have fun at my prom because you invited me to my own prom and now you're trying to play somebody. Okay. So we get to the prom. I get out myself. I'm like, I'll let myself out. I don't need nobody to do. I'm not gonna deal with this guy. So we get there and it just, things may take a turn for the worse. It was such an odd night. We get there and we're all late as it is, but then we get there to a brawl that's occurring outside of the prom venue. Our classmates, for whatever reason, I guess 2 opposing limos, and comment below if you actually were at our prom and you can clarify and so we can get the story straight. But 2 opposing sides of whatever, I don't even know what it was, got angry at each other. I think there was alcohol involved on the way to the prom, and they started fighting. When I say fighting, I mean fighting, beating, blood, like literally blood. There was blood spewing everywhere. Teachers were involved, getting punched in the head, trying to break people up. And we're like, what is this? Like, this is shaping up to be ridiculous. And, you know, that's when all of a sudden, prom date dude, all of a sudden is like, oh, and he's like protecting me. He's like, whoa, and he's trying to like hover over me to make sure that I'm okay. So I'm like, okay. So we get into the prom finally, because that took a while because they weren't letting anybody in anymore because of the fact that there was a brawl outside and they were trying to calm everybody down. By the time we get in, the music, you know, you got the corny 90s music playing or whatever, and the plates were out for the food. There was only a handful of people who were actually there. We sat down for the food. The food was all cold and gross. It was like whatever. So I'm sitting eating my cold, like chicken francaise, I don't know. And then he's like, this is prom date dude, was like, baby, when the fight broke out, it just made me realize that I shouldn't be treating you in this way. Forgive me. No, what happened was the female finally caught wind, and I noticed this in the thing. The female prom date finally caught wind that her date was being a little, you know, whatever, and felt a little bit uncomfortable. And so therefore had stopped talking to my prom date and kind of, and I'm assuming maybe she might have even said, hey, you should kind of tend to your date, because towards the end of that ride, he all of a sudden got really quiet and stopped sweating the girl. So in my head, I'm like, no, you're not trying to be nice all of a sudden. It's because the girl shut you down. And now you want to sit there and be like, how am I going to salvage the rest of this night? But you know what? At that point, I was like, I can either have a fight and cause a scene and then have this dude walking home because he's not coming back in the limo, or I could just be the bigger person and say and forgive him and say okay and just have a fun time. So I chose the latter. I forgave him for the night, meaning I was not going to cause this whole big issue. I forgave him for the night so that we could actually just have fun as friends, and literally just friends. It was very platonic. So, you know, for the rest of the night we had somewhat of a good time. It was just the oddest thing because we went onto the dance floor to dance, and some of the people that were fighting were actually on the dance floor now. There was one girl who was like busted a move, and she had like blood stains on her dress because her man was the one who was like fighting, and then she wanted to still, I guess, salvage her night. It was just such a strange night. So we went to the club afterwards. I changed, we took pictures, you know, the whole thing, and we spent all night hanging out. And that was that. I can tell you one thing though, I only saw the guy, the prom date dude, probably like one more time after that, and that was to pretty much wrap it up. And I never paid attention to him again because I was not about to be treated that way. And you know, there's no hard feelings because I'm friends with him on Facebook now. He actually, you know, has a family, and he seems to have turned out to be a good guy. So that is my story time. That's my story, and I'm at work. So thank you for keeping me company while I was driving to work. Hope you enjoyed the story. If you do enjoy my story times, let me know. I'll try to think of other fun things that have happened in my life. Comment below if you ever have had a like crazy, wacky prom situation occur and how you handled it. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.